Hello and welcome. I'm the Rambling Director, and today I want to talk about a little movie that most of you have not seen, many of you probably didn't even know existed. So there's a cute little Disney movie starring Brendan Fraser called George of the Jungle. It's based on a cartoon called George of the Jungle, and when I was growing up, it was one of my favorite movies, and as an adult, it is still one of my favorite comedies. I just love that movie, not because it's laugh-out-loud hilarious, but because it is just a cute movie. It's not trying to be like the comedic genius of the Chappelle Show or something. It's trying to be a cute, funny movie that gives you a fun experience watching it, and it gives you some characters that you really love and want to go on an adventure with. Well, to my surprise, I saw an ad for a movie that I vaguely remember watching when I was a kid, but I couldn't remember anything about. Dudley Do-Right. Now, for those of you who are big fans of Rocky and Bullwinkle, as I am, then you probably know that Rocky and Bullwinkle and Dudley Do-Right were made around the same era. And if you grew up in the 90s watching a lot of Cartoon Network and Boomerang, then you probably watched a lot of Rocky and Bullwinkle and a lot of Dudley Do-Right. It had some great humor. It ranged from really creative and funny to really, like, stupid dad jokes, in the same way as Rocky and Bullwinkle did. Rocky and Bullwinkle, sometimes they were comedic geniuses. Other times, you just kind of wondered what they were doing. So why do I mention George of the Jungle? Well, because this movie was made by the same people, and it stars Brendan Fraser as the titular Dudley Do-Right. This film is really, really cute. It opens with a short animated film, about a character who is a fox, that's Fox with a PH, and he lives in the town of Pudding on the Ritz. That's so stupid. I just kind of love it. And that opening little short is really funny. The fox, he wants this treasure that's in a chest, but the chest is cursed that anybody who opens the chest will die. Well, he tricks this town idiot into doing it, and so he opens the chest, and when he goes to get a sack to take his half of the money, because the fox promised him half the money that's in the chest, the fox ends up falling in the chest and getting locked in. Well, the guy comes back, and this milkmaid has fallen in love with him, and he's like, oh, hey, that's this bag full of money. I guess this is my half, and the fox went his way with his half, so I'll just take this. So he ends up with all the treasure, and the narrator says, for years afterwards, when everyone asked, where was the fox? Whatever happened to Fox with a PH? Everyone would give a unanimous, who cares? It's so cruel. And then the fox from inside the chest goes, well, wait a minute, what about the curse? It says whoever opened the chest would die. And the town idiot goes, yeah, but it didn't say when they'd die. So Dudley Do-Right itself, excluding the short film that opens it, it's a really short movie. It's only an hour and 16 minutes with credits. So the film opens with these children who enact the backstory of Snidely, Nell, and Dudley. And as a child, Snidely is like, I want to be the bad guy. I want to be the bad guy so that I can go and take things from the good guys. And I can do this. And he goes over and he kisses Nell on the cheek. And Nell's like, Snidely. And then Dudley's like, well, I want to be the good guy so I can help people. And also I do this better. And he kisses her on the cheek and she's like, good gracious. This is all really funny because obviously these kids don't have a clue what they're doing. It's also funny that Nell, who's like an 8-year-old in this opening, is like, well, I don't think I want to be anything when I grow up yet. I want to go out and see the world and learn things and learn about life and adventures. And like, she has this like really specific plan for her life, what she wants to accomplish. And the other two are just like, I want to be the good guy. I want to be the bad guy. So Dudley from a very young age knows he wants to be part of the mountain police, which of course is what he ends up doing. Now the slapstick in this movie ranges from really good and very funny to kind of weak, and I think it's a shame because slapstick is, I think, one of the most universal forms of comedy. I know some people think of it as like lesser, but I think it's really great because you don't need any words for slapstick. You'll get great slapstick like the Three Stooges. You know, forget live action for a moment. You know who was like the kings, the best slapstick? Tom and Jerry. That is perfect slapstick, and when it's done right, it is some of the funniest humor in my opinion. So it is a shame because George of the Jungle had really strong slapstick, and the slapstick in this is just not as good. Take a shot for every time I say slapstick in this review. There's a really great joke, which they kind of steal from George of the Jungle, where Brendan Fraser, now as the grown-up Dudley Do-Right, is with his horse, and the narrator is also a device used in George of the Jungle. The narrator is like, Dudley Do-Right and his well-trained horse. Brendan Fraser goes, fetch, and he throws a stick, and the horse doesn't move, and the narrator goes, okay, maybe he wasn't so well-trained. I'm a sucker for that kind of joke. Now, the casting choice that shocked me, because I didn't watch the trailer before watching this, was Alfred Molina as Snidely. That is perfect casting. Funny enough, Dudley Do-Right is shown more as the straight man to Snidely's, evil plans and the things, whenever things go wrong for him. Dudley is more of a straight man. There's times when he has really funny moments in himself, but a lot of it is just his stupidity in not realizing what Snidely Whiplash is up to. This is the sort of humor from George of the Jungle that I'm talking about that is, it's really great humor, but it's also like, it's one of those jokes that if it doesn't make you laugh, it'll still make you kind of smile. So Alfred Molina as Snidely goes into this bank to rob the bank, and he's holding them at gunpoint, and the teller goes, what do you want? And Snidely goes, please, let everybody get in first. And then it cuts to outside, and his gang consists of like 300 people, and they're trying to cram into this bank. And Snidely's so polite, he wanted to wait until everybody was inside before he started this. And kind of a counterpoint to that joke is when we see Snidely Whiplash's hideout, and there is just dozens of cars outside, because there's so many henchmen. When the henchmen decide to turn on Snidely, he disguises himself as a henchman and just says, I think he's staying at the Hilton Hotel in this such and such country in Africa. And they all just go, the Hilton, got it. And they all just leave. Some of the jokes that don't work for me is the horse constantly blowing raspberries, or zerberts, whatever you want to call them. He goes, and the horse just keeps doing that. I didn't really find it funny, but by the fifth time it happens, I started to be like, I started smiling because I was like, they really dedicated to this one joke, aren't they? It's also great that at the beginning, we see Snidely Whiplash tie up a guy and lay him on the railroad tracks. Like this is like a 1915 cartoon. Nell comes back, having finally seen the world, and now she knows what she wants, and she keeps trying to tell Dudley what she wants, and it's obvious she wants him. But there's some really great humor where he keeps interrupting her, and there's little misunderstandings that happen. And again, it's not laugh out loud funny, it's just really cute little moments that, they just kind of work. And they pull off recreating the famous scene from the cartoon where Dudley ends up with a moose head on his head. Sarah Jessica Parker plays Nell as an adult, and she's great in this. I love Sarah Jessica Parker, but what I think is really funny is when the two of them throughout the film keep singing this song to each other, and it kind of reminded me of in Enchanted. It's that sort of thing. And so Brendan Fraser keeps starting to sing, and Sarah Jessica Parker will go, nah, Dudley, it's not the time. I also love what she says she did. She not only saw the world, but she got a master's, a PhD, and served as an ambassador. While the moose is on Dudley's head, he says, I love you! And the narrator says, I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget. She had traveled far and wide, and never had she heard a confession of love from a moose. You might not find it funny, but the jokes are trying really hard. And some of them really made me laugh. That was one of them. Being an American Indian myself, I thought this was so funny. So they go to this Indian reservation, right? It's just filled with cliches and obviously fake, like John Wayne movie sets. And they're all commenting on wow, look how real all of this is. Isn't this real? That's so real. The Indian tribe's name also, I had to write it down so I wouldn't forget it, are the South Brooklyn Indians, also called the Kumquats. And they do this Vegas-style show in which all of the Indian people river dance. Snidely Whiplash's evil scheme in this is he goes around with a shotgun and shoots rounds made of gold into the creek bed, and he does this to cause a fake gold rush, after which he buys up all of the property in the town, gets the gold rush nationally known, or internationally known, and so there's like a flood of tourism coming into the town. As far as evil plans just to make money, buying up a town and then turning it into a tourist attraction, it's almost like Scooby-Doo levels of scheming, and I kind of do really appreciate that. It's a very original idea. There's a great moment when all of the henchmen finally return from Africa, and they're like, we're gonna kill you, Snidely Whiplash, we're gonna kill you for all you've done. And he's like, nonsense, you're not gonna kill me, you're gonna work for me, I own this town now, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're doing this, you're gonna run the hot dog stand. And they all just go along with it. They all just accept their new roles and forget they were mad at him. And he is so calm in the face of imminent death that when they're like, we're gonna kill you, he's like, no, you're not. How can you be mad at that? How can you think that's anything less than hilarious? There's another little beat where one of the henchmen come up to Alfred Molina and say, you know, boss, I was thinking, since we're making so much money now, maybe we should start golfing. And Alfred Molina just looks at him for a second and goes, you are a genius. There is really a big part of Dudley Do-Right as a character that I don't think could have been played by anybody but Brendan Fraser. And one of them is when he confronts Snidely Whiplash about the evil plan he's doing, and Snidely lies to him, and Brendan Fraser goes, we have to tell the truth, Snidely. I don't know that any other actor could have delivered that line like that. There's also a moment where Snidely gets some good news and he goes, drinks on the house, free drinks for everybody. No, wait, double the price of drinks for everybody. That's so funny. I don't want to spoil it because I think you should check out this movie. If you don't like it, then fine, I understand, but I do recommend it. Just as a cute movie, and for kids, I think this is a great movie. Snidely's plan was basically to get Dudley fired because he believed Dudley would be the only person who could stop him, which is hilarious in itself when you are watching this movie and you think like, your evil plans are so stupid you think this guy can stop you? And there's a moment where he pulls out the little mountaineer shirt that he had made when he was a kid, pretending to be a mountaineer, and it really works. I mean, shockingly, like when it happened, I was like, that emotional moment really, really worked. The movie has to be doing something right to get that kind of reaction. Eric Idle is also in this movie for like 10 minutes. He's like this hobo guy, but then he ends up being Dudley's trainer, and they have like this, almost like this sensei-master relationship for 10 minutes, and then Eric leaves the film because he's like, you know what? Dudley, you've given me the bravery to go back to my family. Seeing you conquer your fears and do all this, it's given me a purpose in my life, and now I'm ready to stop being a homeless prospector and go back to my family. What do you even say to some of these jokes? How can you not bust out laughing at just how ridiculous all of this is? Okay, so from this point forward is spoilers. So Dudley now becomes the bad guy, because he reasons out with Eric Idle that, well, since Snidely Whiplash now owns the town, and he's in charge of everything, and he's, taking care of the town by bringing in tourism, he's now the good guy. So Dudley has to be the bad guy. So Dudley dresses all in black and rides a motorcycle. There's a wonderful joke where Dudley comes in, and Snidely is painting a picture of Nell, and it's literally paint by numbers. Gosh, that is so funny. Then, in response to this, Dudley pulls out a chainsaw that Eric Idle gave him and carves Nell's figure into a topiary bush. After this, they have a conversation about why Dudley's wearing black, and Dudley's like, and I notice you're not wearing black anymore. And Alfred Molina goes, what are you talking about? This is black. And Brendan Fraser goes, no, it's not. He holds out his arm. And when you see the sleeves against each other, Dudley is wearing black, and Snidely is wearing navy blue. That cracks me up. That is such, the thought that, okay, listen, I don't care if it made you laugh. The thought that went into that joke for that, few seconds of time, and the fact that that is the thing that Nell's like, ooh, you know what? Yeah, I think I want to be with Dudley. That is just hysterical. Then Snidely goes to the townsfolk and starts telling them that Dudley is bad and evil and he's the bad guy now, but nobody will believe him because they all know what a good guy Dudley Do-Right is. Then there's this huge battle scene. Now you may be asking, why did they need to have a battle? So there's this huge battle scene, and all of the henchmen ride up and land on the shore like it's D-Day. Snidely Whiplash is dressed like a general. He's immediately surrounded by paparazzi, and he tells them to take pictures of everything, including the torture chambers. No, wait, don't take pictures of the torture chambers. After all, he who does not learn from history is bound to repeat it. That is such a dark joke. I mean, like, any kid watching that would fly over their head. But any adult is gonna be like, wow, I can't believe they just said that. The kumquats... Can't believe I'm doing a video where I have to say that word. The kumquats end up fighting back against Snidely, and there's another great line from the narrator. Not since their all-male revival of Little Women have the kumquats faced such a hostile response. When the kumquats are throwing rocks at Snidely's men, Snidely just goes, well, that's not fair, they've got rocks and all we have is machine guns. There's also a really funny joke where the chief is tired out and he can't go on any further, and Nell goes, I thought Native Americans could run all day, and the guy goes, yeah, like we're real Indians. At the end, it turns out that Eric Idle was the husband of the Prime Minister of Canada. I love that joke. That's so stupid. He was a prospector. He was homeless. Why is he married to the Prime Minister? It's amazing. And so because of this, Dudley is heralded as a national hero. Snidely Whiplash goes to jail, although they make it clear that no jail can hold him and he'll be out in no time. Dudley and Nell get married, and all is happily ever after, as it should be. This is such a cute movie. It's some of it is laugh out loud hilarious. I really cracked up. But the majority of it is stuff that I just kind of sat there smiling. Like, this is really wholesome entertainment. Like, it's not got a lot of poop jokes and fart jokes. It's not, dick-sized jokes like Frozen getting it a PG. You know, it's really... it's honestly a very wholesome little movie. It's cute, it's funny enough, and if you wanted something that was comforting and sort of took you back to like the 90s and the early 2000s when movies were allowed to just be cute, then this is definitely a movie I suggest to you. And if that's not the sort of nostalgia that you're into, I still recommend watching it at least once just to see what you think and give it your own honest opinion. And if you've already seen this movie, I'd love to know what you think about it in the comments. So that's all for today. Thank you everybody for watching, and I will see you in the next one.